Hi, this is Bill. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my skills and help you out in achieving your goals to become a certified ServiceNow administrator. And I would like to share my background with you. So I've been a tech instructor for the past 5 years, and I have 22 years of industry experience and recognized to be the best on what I do, and also a advisory solutions architect in ServiceNow with 6 CIS certifications. I'm also certified enterprise architect. So as I introduce myself, I would like to know my students, my audience, and I would probably could share a bit about yourself, right? About your company, what you do, and what are your expectations in this class. Thank you so much for sharing. And on this next slide, so this will be your Bible and your guide all throughout your ServiceNow journey. So you can be a newbie or someone who is an expert, and you will be needing these documentations and links to revisit, right? So you have the docs at servicenow.com, developer, and now learning, right? And these 5 links that are being shared, right, will give you the latest and greatest. And no one knows everything at a single time. And I would like to share that you will also need to constantly revisit this, anything that you need to, some guidance or new things that you need to learn. And I would say this has to be second to you in your ServiceNow career. So I further suggest to bookmark them, and as you navigate easily and you become faster in what you do and be known as an expert in ServiceNow. And as we move to this um, deep diving to the topics I will be discussing, right? So we will start with the service catalog, and we'll move towards topic 2, like flow designer, and we'll discuss about tables, and finally is access control. Now, on the first topic, which is part of Module 5, we will be demonstrating about the service catalog. And after doing a demo, right, so we will have discuss points. So we'll go back to the slides, right? So a lot of practical and an understanding. So the combination of both will give you a firm grasp of the modules or features of ServiceNow. So let us switch gears to the laboratory. So as I navigate to my Zoom and make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen. And now as I click and navigate, now you will see that this is a laboratory instance, right? So as a first start, what you see on the left, this is the application menu, right? So as I go to user administration, right? So as I type in, it allows you to filter out the modules or features that you would like to navigate. So now I'm going to go to groups, right? Create a new group, right? So I'll be creating a group that is a catalog manager and editor. So this allows it'll be creating access on the catalog builder right now. So as I right click and save on the top, you will see that I have stayed on the form. Now I'll be navigating to the right, lower right, and edit, and we'll need to add the correct catalog admin, right? So as I choose from left to right, you could drag and drop as much roles that you need. And now this is only one that we'll be creating for this particular purpose. And as I create a group or group members, right? So we're going to grow and edit, right? Go back to the collection. And as I put the initials of Bud, right? So I could easily navigate to him and drag him to the right. And now I'll be saving the chosen person, right? Or persona, right? So now we have successfully created a group and a role under catalog manager and editors. As we save, we'll be staying with the form. Right now, we could go back to the application menu, right, and look for catalog builder. And as we found what we need, so we just click catalog builder, and on the right, on the main content frame, right, you will see the choices of creating catalog, right? So now let's create a new catalog item. So as you can see, it gives the easy to understand wizard from template until it is fulfilled. So on the lower right, so let's click continue. And right now, there's provided two templates. We'll be using standard templates. So templates allows you to have a guide or already a standard established to assist in building a catalog item template, right? Or catalog item, right? So now let's use this template. And as we use this template, we could let's say let's going to create a request catalog, right, for a Logitech mouse, right? So let's just copy and paste that. And let's say this is a wireless mouse. So for simplicity, we are creating a short description. Now it also gives you the ability to attach an image, right? So that what will be the view or what will be the the picture, right, of this particular um, service catalog, right? So so it's also handy to add a description. And as you add that description, basically it gives you a more detail about the service catalog. Now we could continue to the location. So ServiceNow provides some catalogs, categories, or groupings, right? That gives you the ability to who or what will be seen on this particular group. So it's a filter or an umbrella, right? So as I navigate you on how this is done, so I suggest to um, drill down and do it yourself in the laboratories. It will give you hands-on experience, right? So don't be afraid to make mistakes, right? And so to make mistakes, to have experience, and I suggest to get your hands dirty. Now, as we continue and go to the question part, so we could create multiple questions. So it could be a structure, right? On this example, we'll have a new question. So the question type could be a choice, right? Or text. So let's have two examples, right? So let's have a choice field, right? So what is the question subtype? Is it a drop down or radio, right? So let's say a radio, right? So as we navigate, right? So what will be the label, right? So why do you need a mouse, right? So a wireless mouse, right? So this is a question, right? And as you navigate the question, you see on the right, it also creates that view for you, a preview. So easily you could create that question, right? So that's the question choice. But let's for easy for us for navigation. So let's copy it as we move to the text, right? So and let's say it's a single line of text, right? So we have kept the question label, so we can mark it as mandatory, but now I'll just leave it, right? And we could insert another question. So you can basically insert multiple questions as needed, right? So depending on the form or the information that you need to populate, right? For to make the decision makers, because it will go to an approval process and it needs the correct information, right? To make a decision, right? So you have configuration capabilities, right? So the user criteria is inherited from the template, which is also out of the box. Now, as we fulfill, you could also add add a flow. So we talk about approvals and decision making. So out of the box, you can reuse the out of the box flow. So as you review, you will have the ability to see what you have populated, right? And now you could submit this for publishing. Now, as you have published, now it will be available in the portal for navigating. So I'll leave that to you to explore, right? And I would say to navigate and get your hands dirty and be familiar of what you do. Now let us switch slides again, right? And as we move back to the presentation slides. Right. So okay. So now the service catalog, right? So what it does, it provides different services. So as you can see in sample on the right, it could be providing help? Is it a hardware assistance, right? Do you need an item that you need to basically have or get, right? So it's a request or an incident that you could basically raise, right? So what we have showcased so far, we have created an item, right? And we also created different variables that allows different information, and you could also create them into sets. So, but if you need more flexibility on the forms, then you will need to like create a record producer. And the flows that we have showcased is what you've seen so far. We have attached a workflow, and you could have multiple workflows, levels, and approvals that gives you the ability to have full control, right? So as you create variables, so variables are global by default, right? So it will help you to reuse. For example, if you created like variable sets, you can put them together into a set and reuse them into a different um, items or catalog for ease of use. So the workflow that we have attached earlier will be looking similar like this. So it provides different stages, right? And you could have multiple approvals, and you will see different SLAs, right? How long it will take. It provides that great user experience. And now on this next slide, you will see as you create, right, an order. So it is a catalog-like feel, right? And as you order, right, you will be able to create a request. And on that request, you could have multiple items, right? So we create one item, and one request could contain multiple items. And it also under it is are the task, right? Or it could be a workflow or steps. So that's the hierarchy from a request. It goes down to a requested item, and now to a task, right? So, well, the key takeaways for this one, we have showcased how to build a catalog builder using a catalog builder, creating an item, right? And you will be able to witness as well the categories and how you categorize a particular catalog item. And we also witnessed on how the ordering process occurs in ServiceNow, right? So on this next topic, right? So we'll be discussing about Flow Designer, doing a demo, and well, we'll also have 3 discuss points on the Flow Designer. Now let's move forward and go to the lab instance. So as I change gears, right, and move to the laboratory. So as now, so again, we are on the UI 16 view. So on this UI 16 view, right? So this is the classic view of ServiceNow. And let us navigate to the application menu. So as I move my mouse to the top left, so I go to Flow Designer, and easily now we could create a flow, right? So as we drill down, right? So you will see the different existing flows. So one of the tips and tricks, right? So you could um, drill down and navigate to the existing one. So it will give you more maturity and strengthen your skills as you build your workflows. But then again, I'll always encourage for you to get your hands dirty, and you could use this as a guide as a beginner. But as you don't be afraid to make mistakes, right? And as you make mistakes, you become a much better person. I would say so. That's where I started, and that's where I became an expert as well. So I would like to share my experience. Right. So on this flow, so let's say that this flow has is our purpose to update incident record, right? Right. So let's make it simple and straightforward, right? So you could add a description. So let's say this flow, right, updates the incident record. So depending on your purpose, right? But as we drill down, you will find out what we basically mean, right? So here it starts with the trigger, right? So the trigger is something that kicks off, right? It kicks off the workflow. And as you kick off, right, for example, what event should happen when something's created or updated only. So it can be from a schedule, right? Or it can be from an application, right? But then again, the IT field, right, predominantly here in ServiceNow, it gives you the to understand, right, as an engineer or an or administrator, is familiarity, right? So as you get familiar, it strengthens your skill set, right? And as you do a lot of hands-on, so this is something that is expected from you. As you do more hands-on, right, then you become more expert in what you do. So here, as we navigate through record, creates the updated, right? So what we're saying, anything which is created or updated in a particular table, right? Then then the actions will happen, right? So now we could add a filter, right? So let's say you could be more granular if you want to, right? So let's say if the active field is true, that is when it's going to run, right? You could have more conditions or more criteria if needed be. But in this example, I'm only going to do a general one. So I'll leave for you on that one to explore. Now, the other very powerful tool is the actions, right? So you have all of this out of the box actions already, right? So what I'm going to do, the action I would like to happen, right, is anything which is created or updated, right? So the question is from where? So since this is the data bill, right? So the data bill, right? So this is dynamic data which is happening on that particular record in the top. So let's you could just drag it and drop it, right? So right now it's not, that one is not working. So so let's just drag a record, right? So that one is not working as well. So as you can see, as you try something, right? So you could do to 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 basically validate, right? You can validate what is right and what is wrong, right? So the only way to be able to learn that is to get your hands dirty, right? So that's one way you could basically navigate, or you could just find another record, right? But if I do that, then it disconnects it from the dynamic data, which is from the right. So let's do that again, right? So let's find out what's the correct one. So it should work, right? So since it's asking for a table, so the type is very important, right? So it's a table type table, and this is table name. And what we're going to do, because the action is create or update. So let's say the states, right? So we are changing the state into, let's say, in progress once this record is created, right? So that's the first flow. You could have another flow depending on your purpose. You could send an email, right? So the strengths here is you could already use the predefined templates, right? So the predefined template. So as I click here, so this is just slowness, right? Slowness on right. So let's do that again. So let's it's either you do a search. So I'm a search person, but you could navigate one by one depending on your preference, right? And or send an email. Sorry, so I made a mistake there. So as you send an email, right? So you could drag and drop, right? Again, the data bills, right? So it has to have the corresponding type, right? So you could drill down and find out an email from the person who is assigned to, right? But I'm not going to do that here. I'll let you leave that to explore, or you could drag down the assigned to itself, right? So dynamically, ServiceNow does it for you. And what will be the subject, right? So the subject could be, right, the short description, right? So or it could be the number. It depends on your purpose, right? So you can basically have a combination, right, of text, right? You could type a dear something, right? Dear, and put the first name coming from this record, right? So I'll leave that to you, right? To get your hands dirty. Now as I save and make it simple, right? So now you could also test it, right? Test this particular flow now, and you could choose what record, right, run against to. So as you run it, right, easily, right, you could see the outcomes or the execution details of your test. And as I navigate to the left, you could open, right? And find out what happened. Is it successful, not successful? So you call this debugging. You could debug your flow, right? And find out, right, where what went wrong, and you become um, um, familiar of the details, right? As you can be creating 10-step workflow, 5-step workflow, or 15-step workflow. So this is the way, right? You always test your work and make sure that it is working as expected. So now let us change gears again, right? And go back to the slide. Okay, so let me do that. So let me just check. I'm making sure that you're seeing the correct um, page, right? So I'm assuming, so that's my, you could let me know if I not sharing my screen, right? So let's make this collaborative, right? So as I share my knowledge to you, you could ask questions, and we'll also help out your teammates or your classmates right here, and to give them a better understanding on about ServiceNow, right? So what is a flow designer? So this is a process, right? It gives you that discipline, business logic, right? Automating the steps of a business process, right? So ServiceNow is providing you from a no-code standpoint, low code, and in a non-technical interface. So this is a very powerful tool. So it has different components that we have shown. We have shown you the trigger on different aspects, that it could be a record-based, application-based, and so on, depending on the purpose. Right now, that trigger, you could have conditions, right? So as we have showcased earlier, and finally, you'll have actions, right? On those actions, we have multiple actions. It could also be an approval, it could be waiting for a condition, right? It could be an integration to other applications, right? And we also showcase about the data appeals, where you could dynamically get information from the data, right? So here, these are the key takeaways. We managed to showcase about the Flow Designer, a non-technical interface for building or enabling process automation. You created new flow, and you managed to also witness how to test the flow, right? So right. So on this next slide, right, so we'll be showing how to extend tables. This is now module 4 of our lesson, and you'll be able to learn how to create, right, and learn how to see the view, and also find out about the attributes, right? What are the field attributes, and what are they used for? So let us now move to the instance, right? So let us change screens again, right? So as I change screen, so let's move to the laboratory instance, right? So okay, so I'm assuming we are there, right? So let me just double check. I don't think we are. So let me change and navigate to the correct screen. So let me do that. Okay, so let me do some testing just to be sure that I'm on the correct screen, right? So let's see. So table, right? So my share screen is not updating, right? So system definition. So let me do that again. Okay, seems I'm not on the correct screen. Okay, I think I am now. Brilliant. So thanks for confirming as well that I'm on the correct screen, right? So I need to work with you as well. So since I'm on the other side of the world and on the other side of the monitor, right? Thanks for that. So right, so now I'll be navigating back to the application navigator, right? So what you'll see here is what we're trying to find is system definitions, right? And as you notice that as we navigate to system definitions, right? So the typos, right? So it's keyword driven, right? So if you misspell, then what's going to happen? It will not provide you the correct results, right? So now we're looking for tables, right? So on this table, table menu on the right, or the content that you're seeing after we click the tables, right? As I navigate to the right, now these are the existing tables, right? So let us create something new, right? So let us say that we are creating a movies application, right? So movie, right? So as you can see, right? So it automatically creates a name. So it happens and have a prefix of view if it is under a global application. Automatically it does that, right? So what we're gonna take advantage on is the extends table. So we chose task, right? Why? Because the task has different features that we could inherit on. So it inherits all the capabilities and features of task, right? So as you get the task table inherited by the movie, all the fields, the view is inherited, and also it provides the approval workflow. If you don't have the task table extended, then the approval is not going to happen. Remember when we create the flow designer, right? So if you need an approval step, then you will need to inherit from the task table, right? So on the right, so you will see what will be the menu name, right? So as we create this, right, we could create a module as well. So could be from an existing module, but we are going to create a new one. Since we are going to do some more things or activities here, I'll be moving to the top and click save, because if I click submit, right, I'll be moving out of this record. So we are going to click save, right, to stay to the table, I mean to the form or record. And as we scroll down, right, so it has inherited all the features, right, or fields and columns. Now let us create a view, right? So because ServiceNow, as it creates a table, it has a default view, right? So what we want is create an approval, right? An approval view, right? So as we do that, so let's have an approval view. So once we click OK, right? So our purpose is to show the approval, right? And the approval history, right? So as we do that, the view is basically saved on that view name that we created, right? So now we have two views. We have the default and we have the approval view. Now, as we have created that, right? So I can go now to the left. So you see that I have pinned the all menu, right? So it makes it easier for you to navigate between. So you could see the content and you could see the application menu as well. So if you kind of like lost, right, you could put as a favorite, right? So let's go to movie, right? So I could put this as a favorite, right? And as I do that, it will be easy to navigate. Or you could also go to the history, right? So on this banner frame, it allows you to make your life easier, right? So the history and favorites. So now let's move to the movie. So as we click the edit application right beside it, right? So you could add roles, right? So it's role driven. So as you can see and navigate, you could go to by just typing U, it will go directly to anything which has a U, right? So we have the pre-created role for us, right? So U underscore movie underscore user, right? And as you can see on the left, we only have one, which is movies, right? So as we scroll down, we could have more menus, right? And let's do that basically. So we have the movie, right? And you could have a an edit movie. So depending on your purpose, right? So for simplicity, right? So that's what we're doing, and we need to add a rule for that, right? So earlier we had a pre-created rule, so we can reuse that, right? And click as done, right? And we could you need to go to um, the link type, right? To make sure you are on the correct table, right? So as we do that, right? So ServiceNow does it for us. So let's save it so we can create two modules now. So as we create it, right? Let's go back. and it automatically does edit movie, right? So here, as we move to movies to make more sense, so we could have like create movie. So now as we save it, right? So automatically this was also update. So if it doesn't update, you could do a refresh, right? So I did a refresh, and now I'm back, right? So I'm back here. So we created two, and as we again edit, right? So as we scroll down the modules, the main content frame under the movie application menu. So we have created two. So you could have more, right? More modules. So as you notice, right, as an example, right? So if you go to incident module, right? So if I scroll down, it has create new, assigned to me, and so on, right? And if I go back to the movie, as you test those applications or modules, you are building the same. So you see, becoming an expert already, as you can notice, right? And in creating modules, right? So now to expand the capabilities, right? So you need to provide access to these people, right? So you're going to go back to user administration, right? So let's start with the groups. So as a best practice, as we navigate to the right and click new, right? And let's say movie administrators, right? So our purpose is to create movie administrators, and the role, right? So you could as you navigate the role, you could click edit, right? Who will have access, right, to that movie administrator? So let's type in again movie, right? So let's type in you, right? So view underscore movie user. So now, because we created access to the module, right? Anyone who will be a member, right, of this particular role, right, will be granted access to those modules, right? So let's say Abel will have access, right? Let's say Abraham will have access, right? And save it, right? So in the speed of fly, we managed to put them together, right, in the single picture. Now I'll leave it to you to test them, right? You could impersonate Abel and see if the purpose of the rules is basically happening. Now as we get more granular, right? So we have ACL, access control, right? So let's navigate to the right. Let's impersonate. No, I mean elevate. To be able to edit ACL, you need to be security admin, right? To be security admin, let's go back and update, right? And as we go back, as you can see on the top right, you will have the arrow. That means your rule is elevated, right? So let's go back to application menu, on the search, right? Search navigator, click ACL. And now, as we drill down to ACL, now the new button on the top right will be visible, right? So again, you have out of the box examples already. Do not be afraid to make mistakes, since you are in a laboratory, right? And you are a learner, and as a learner, this is your chance, right, to make mistakes, right? And as you become better, right, then yeah, you become right and do things shorter, and the accuracy is there, and the expertise will be seen, right? So let's click new, right? So depending, right? So as you can see, the type, it is record, right? And depending, right? So but here we'll be creating a record, right? So what will be the operation? Are we create a record, read a record, right? And it's quite straightforward. And of course, we created a table. So what table is it, right? So it's start again with a U, right? Or we could type in the movie. So we had the label, right? So you could type U underscore movie, right? So you have the table name, and you could have be granular. You could have access to all tables. I mean everything in a table, or all field in a table, or in specific field, right? So it's like house keys, right? So you only have keys for a particular door, right? So this is what it's saying, right? So as you save this one, right? So let's save it, right? So as you can see, it's providing this summary for you, right? So to give you that view, but it doesn't end there, right? So you need to like add a rule, right? So this is role control, right? So remember we created a rule, right? So let's double click, right? Let's say you, right? So let's say movie, right? So basically you could do a search depending on what role you'll be giving, right? So let's find out the user that we're trying to navigate, right? So let's see. So that's you, right? So where is that role that we're looking at movie, right? So let's do a search, right? So let's do a search on that one, right? So user, okay, right. So if ever that you did not remember, right? So like what I did now, so you can always go back and navigate to that role, right? So no one is stopping you to do that. So let's navigate quickly. Let's go to movie, right? And as you can see, we could just navigate what role it is, right? And as you navigate here, what role, right? So you'll need this role here, u underscore movie underscore user, right? So let's go back, right? And go to ACL again, right? So easily, there's quite a few ways to be able to go back and see it. So you could when it was updated, so who created it, or who created when, or created by, the when and the who, right? And as we go to the right, and you could basically configure it accordingly, right? Ascending or descending, right? As you can see here, something has been created for us already, right? So this is what we created, and well, the others are basically auto created, right? So let's navigate there and go back to the rule, right? And let's see if this works, right? So let's do a check, right? So as you can see, the behavior of ServiceNow, the only way to learn it, right, is to get your hands dirty, right? So let's do a save, right? So you're getting more experience, right, as you basically add this role here. So let's just navigate down, and you could also, as you can see here, it was created successfully, right? So let's go back, right? So as you can see here, right? So we could create this record, right? Because it's not allowing us because it's already been created, right? So let's go to incident, right? And let's do something else, right? It's another example, right? So as we do it here, right? So let's have that rule, right? And check it, right? So let's save it. And now it's basically saving for you, right? So as you do that, right? So as you can see, it has saved your settings, right, with the idle rule. So as we navigate back, right, to the ACL, right, and go to the movie, so you could have 4 axes already: the read, write, delete, and create using the ACL. Now let us go back to the menu. I mean the slides, and as we go back, right, so let's drill down. So let's discuss about the field attributes. The field attributes basically gives you the field label and the field name, and of course the record itself, which is a data, right? And the source table, right? And the target table. So you'll be able to see here that on the target table you have the user and you have the source, right? And you could basically reference it, right? We could reference a table, right, out of another record, right? So this is called some reference fields, right? You can reference another data, right? And extend table, this is what we have showcased earlier, where it inherits from the parent table, right? Or the parent class, and it gets all the attributes. The child class gets all the attributes of the parent class, right? So the base table, like what we had earlier, the task table, and it could have multiple children, so it can be inherited and quite a few times. On the right, you'll see the examples where incident, problem, change requests are inheriting from the parent or the base class table, right? So as you can see, the custom table that we created on the right, which is movies table, for an example. And these are custom tables, as we call. Anything which is ServiceNow based, right, or ServiceNow created, then it is part of the core tables, right? So in summary, so we showcased um, how a table's created, right, and how view is created also, and also showcase about the application menu, and also showed you about ACL, how to create ACL, right, and how to manage and control access in ServiceNow applications, right? So as we move forward, let us change gears again, right? So let's go back to no, I think we're staying since we are basically going to the next topic. Got confused a little bit there. So sorry about that. Uh, so now we are going to discuss about topic 4, right? So it's access control, right? So it's module 4. So this is where we'll be demonstrating on how to create a new role, right? Part of it we have showcased already, right? And provide application and module access based on the role, right? And access grant access to we could going to create access control, grant access to data. So basically, all these 4 we have done it in advance for you, right? So probably what we can do is go to the discussion points instead, right? So let's do that. So I've overdone it, and now let's move to the discuss points, right? So please ask questions. So as you ask questions, right? So we get to consolidate, right? We can consolidate your understanding, and as we give you your understanding, we consolidate, then you can validate, and as you can move forward to the next question or next topic that you would like to uh, grow into, right? So what you're seeing here is we're providing a high level view of the permission. So this is quite daunting, I would say. So I think it's quite good that we managed to move forward ahead, and how you saw um the administrative part where we created menus, tables, and now we provided access, right? The question is why, right? So it's all about authentication, right, and authorization. Right? So you get authenticated as you log in into ServiceNow, and you are authorized based on your role, your group, right? And your user is basically inheriting who you are a member of, right? And what role the group is a member of, right? Since the application and modules are governed by the security parameters, right? And as you enrich your skill set, right, you get to understand the different access capabilities. It can be on the user interface. Our example earlier was UI 16. Now, you could drill down deeper on the access control list, right, on the database access level, where we showed you tables, fields, right, and you could have selected fields only to have access, selected rows, selected columns, right, and which is quite important, right, and as you manage and administrate the ServiceNow platform. So we also showcase the different operations, CRUD operations, right? So we showcase you to create, read, and update and delete, right? And as you showcase that, right, I basically ask you to do it one at a time. Start small, right? Start probably, let's say, create one, create ACL under create operation. Then as you test that on a particular user, then go to the read, and as you move forward, create, update, and delete, right? So normally they are decoupled, right? And as you decouple that way, what we have demonstrated earlier, we have 4 operations, right, under the movie, And as you have that and add roles into it, then create a user, a group who's a member of that role, then easily you get to understand the behavior of that particular access control, right? So when we went there, right, we needed to basically navigate, right, under system security, and we elevated our rights as a security admin. And as you can see in this image, there's no new button, right? And that's the main reason why you're not allowed to create unless you have um, um, elevated security admin rights. Right. So in this operation, we had a valid operation, right? And our example was a record, right? We created against a table, as you can see, that because it is already existing, right? The control was already existing. So basically, we created a new one as an example. But then again, right? What we're trying to say here, the permissions, we need to have a good understanding. Start with a none, right? Probably next with a field, then the asterisk, right? So once you have that more grasp, right, I would say um, then you can go more to a more advanced, having scripts, right? Um, creating scripts, right? So that topic is outside of the administration, right? And probably I could meet you again on the scripting fundamentals, right, of ServiceNow, right? So as you can see here, right, on this view, right, so you have multiple operations, right? As you can see, it goes granular, right, to the field itself. Easily you could find the name and what is the operation and what is the type, right? So it is the main parameters or control measures that on creating an ACL, right? Right. So you have a table. So this is what we discussed earlier on how you be granular on managing the fields, right, or the controls on the table, right? So finally, right, so we have reached the end of this topic, right? So we ending in a summary. So we showcase how to create a new role. We assign the group to a role, right, and provided module access, right, and finally we also showcased creating or granting access using the ACL. So I hope you managed to enjoy this short journey, right? And I hope I've been um, fruitful on your time. And I would say that be in touch. So I gave my information earlier where you could reach me. You could ask questions further. And my students has been in touch. I have a YouTube channel that you could also come in and give you the latest updates, right? My students sometimes it's their questions outside of this course, and learning doesn't stop here, right? So I fully encourage you to keep on growing, keep on learning, right? The technology doesn't stop updating and upgrading, and I think so do we, right? Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward on working with you again. Thank you.